Hi, you're on the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. I want to talk to you about a biblical marriage. Not what you think. In recent years, the People's Republic of China and the Islamic Republic of Iran have been expressing a common desire to formalize their comprehensive strategic partnership, something which has not yet entered into force, but by cooperating in such areas as trade, energy, and production capacity. Their willingness to work together arises from historical ties tracing back to the ancient Silk Road, as well as from complementary economic and political interests. Now keep in mind a strategic partnership between Tehran and Beijing constitutes a win for both sets of national interests. The partnership encompasses 5 main domains: politics, executive cooperation, human and cultural concerns, judiciary, security and defense, as well as regional and international concerns. Both sides agree to develop a roadmap for the partnership for the next 25 years and to increase trade to $600 billion over the next 10 years. None of the programs discussed in the documents is fully operational as yet. But the Bible describes a time during the Great Tribulation when an Eastern army of immense size, 200 million man army, will march against Israel. An army made up of the kings of the East. Now China has a large army. Iran has a large army. And they're banding together with Iraq. This army from the east, the Bible says, will march across the Euphrates River on dry ground. Today, Turkey has a system of dams by which they could shut the Tigris and Euphrates rivers off if they wanted to. And the Bible predicts this 200 million man army from the east will walk across this dry Euphrates River to attack Israel during the Great Tribulation. Revelation chapter 9, beginning at verse 13, "And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay a 1/3 part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. That's 200 million. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, the horses, not the men, and of jacinth, a deep blue color, and brimstone, sulfur, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, huge, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone." Are we talking modern warfare here? Rockets, tanks, things like that? Verse 18, "By these 3 was the 1/3 part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt." Here's a 13-month battle between the armies of the east and the armies of the north and the armies of the south, all of which are converging on Israel in the Middle East during the Great Tribulation, a time of great economic and social disruption and chaos, when the army from the south will move upon Israel, which is being attacked by the army from the north. Now, Israel may be at that time headquarters of the Western leader who has stepped in to take control after the great rapture of the church. when millions of men, women, and children will just simply disappear from the planet. This Western leader is trying to get control of an out-of-control situation. The effort is depicted in the four horsemen of the Revelation. Israel's mortal enemies will not merely sit back and watch all this. They will seek to have their share of the spoils, eliminating Israel being the main purpose, and the carnage will be great. There will be a war that will end only as Jesus returns with his army. It's not hard to speculate, given human nature. A great vacuum with the disappearance of all of these millions of people and the chaos that will bring. A Western leader who brings his power to bear to regain control of the world, at least his world, as much as he can. Think a guy like Trump, who's a get-it-done kind of guy. And these armies from the east seeing their opportunity come marching across to jump in. Armies from Africa are moving up. The armies from Russia and Turkey and Syria are moving down. And now you have three main groups moving across, just like the Bible says. Make a note. Watch the news. You might find the Bible's right.